All right, this is John Anderson, and what I have done here, it's normally in C, and you could play the chords just fine in C. I like to capo 5 and finger it in G because that lets me play the melody as well as the chords. And so what I've basically done here, this is the advanced version, is transcribed the piano part for guitar. So this actually works very nicely just as guitar solo or as an accompaniment to a singer. So normally the song is sung twice through, once in Scottish and once in English, and it has a small interlude in between. And what I will do is just do the first time through guitar solo, and then we'll have the vocals come in on the second time through so you can see what it's like playing it with a singer to accompany them. But the whole length of time I play is what you would normally do for once through the whole song. Okay, so you notice we did the whole song twice, and each time through has two verses, which are almost the same. They just have some slight differences, so do pay attention to those. For instance, one time you start on the G chord, and one time you start on the B minor chord. And there are a couple other slight changes you'll notice. But let's talk about some of the unusual chords. Well, first of all, one of the things you'll notice is I'm not always fingering the full chord. I'm hardly ever playing notes on the top string, so I don't need to finger that. So you notice I almost never play a G like that because I don't need that note. I'll often have it down there, or I'll just have these fingers if I'm only playing these notes. I'm just playing the notes I need because there's a lot going on here. So another example of that, this is a D chord, but most of the time I'm playing it like this because these notes, F sharp, A, D, A, are a D chord there, and I don't need the others, if I'm using those. And then sometimes we play that note with it too, just for the melody. So I don't bother doing all of this. So you'll see my Ds like that. So there's another sort of partial chord there. So you have this E minor, and then this is a B minor, but I'm only playing the B, the F sharp, and the D. So it doesn't matter if I have fingers on the other strings or not. And then here, this is actually a C chord, because I'm just playing this note and then the open G string and the open E string. So I don't need to get this whole thing in place, which is good because I've been up here, and then that's just right nearby. You can slide down to that G, which is also not a full G, but I'm only playing those notes. And that's still the G, but all I'm doing is I have that bass note and then the G and B open strings. So I'm just trying to be very efficient with my left hand fingers and not bother fretting any strings I'm not going to be playing with my right hand anyway. So if those are only notes I need, that's the only note I play over there. Okay. Then this is sort of an unusual fingering for this A minor 7 because I want to get that right afterwards. This is where we have this little, you have this wonderful little bass line. So to get that, I have this finger ready to do that. And then this isn't really a chord at all. There's a G. This is sort of an A minor, but then you leave this C here and you just pick up the other fingers and you have this C, D, G thing, which is really just passing to get to the next interesting chord, which is an E minor 9th. So there's your regular E minor, and move that note up to the 4th fret. And then that has that wonderful sound because it's so close to that other note. So, at the end, you have a few things like that. That's just 3 open strings, an A, a D, and a G. It's not really much of a chord, but it kind of makes sense in the overall flow of it. And then here's this interlude. So that's the melody that's happening here. You can sort of pull off with that finger, pull off with that one. And then if you can do that and have your thumb doing this at the same time, just do that a few thousand times and it'll get easier. And then that's where you start the song over again.